Well, I think the first thing is to understand that objectives are normal. They're just normal ways of, sometimes we make, let's pretend that you just got on the freeway. You're trying to get to work, and you're trying to manage your time to see, okay, I need to get coffee. That's the end result in your mind. I need to get coffee, but you're thinking to yourself, if I go to this McDonald's, maybe the line's too long. It's harder to get on the freeway. You're doing all of those things, right? But the reality is that maybe wouldn't have been a problem if you left 20 minutes earlier, right? 20 minutes earlier, it wouldn't matter. You would go there comfortably to whichever McDonald's. But so certain situations create objections or barriers to the sale. So how do I overcome those? I ask questions. You gave a question, says, "Oh, we can't get the software right now. Do you have another software that you're using that's totally taking care of all of your needs?" Well, not really. Okay. Well then, right? It almost exposes. Well then, what are you waiting for? And when you ask that question, then there's another opportunity to ask that question. So, what will it take? What if I told you that you can get the software today and you don't have to pay any money down? We'll let you use it for the next 30 days, and you could just do a side-by-side comparison. All you have to do is give me an email. How does that sound? That sounds like a plan, right? So you overcome those objectives. Why do I keep saying objectives? Are they objectives or barriers? Let me just use the word barrier. Objections. I guess in my 4-hour seminar we were talking about learning objectives, so that's been stuck in my mouth. So you have to bring down the wall by showing them what's behind it. So I don't want to get that new car today. Oh, okay. So you're just going to continue driving this other car, and that's fine. Yeah, I'm going to go drive this other car today. Well, what if I told you that you can drive this car off today, and matter of fact, we have a program. 14 days you can drive the car. So you have to give them the future and simplify it and say, okay, I don't want to do this because I don't have the money right now. Because in sales, you always have there's a go-to option. There's always something that you can do, right? And that's why the car salesman says, let me go to the back and talk to my manager. They're just going to the back to just have a coffee or a drink or something. But the idea is, when I did sales, sometimes they'll say, let me go talk to my manager. I just go to the back, and then some folks have a McDonald's and someone has fries. I just grab some fries on the table, go, oh man, you need to get me some. Oh yeah, I got this customer, but let me go back out there. Go, yeah, I spoke to the manager. I didn't. Let's be honest. There are times in sales where you're going to make statements that aren't necessarily true, but the goal is you're going to meet the customer's need, and you're not going to lie about the paperwork, right? That's where there's always truth in that area, but they expect you to lie a little bit. Is Verizon the best network? Yes. Or says the Sprint guy. Is Sprint the best network? Yes. They're expected to do that. So without moving that around too far from the question, you overcome those by understanding that they're natural. They're just going to come up. Your job is just to see behind that objective, right? Is it objection, right? Objection. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. So your job is to see behind that wall. I can't get this phone today because I don't have the money. Well, based on your payment history, it looks like you could just put the phone on your account. You don't have to pay a penny. Everything goes on your bill. Oh, right. Or, I can't get it today. Well, I'll tell you what, the promotion ends today. Why don't you just go ahead and take it today? You have 2 weeks. If you change your mind, just bring it back. No questions asked. Okay. So it helps to understand the leeway that you have. It helps to understand the options that you have, because if you don't know what options that you have, those barriers are going to stop you from moving forward. So your job is just, think of those barriers. They're just like candle wax. And your job is to come in there with the heat and just let that wax just kind of melt down a little bit. They're not brick walls, not by any stretch. And you're the one that turns it into a candle with just your approach and your mentality, and start by asking more questions. Say, what would it mean for you if you had this phone in your hand today? What would it mean for your company if the software if you were using, how different do you see your workflow? Don't ask closed-ended questions. Oh, so you can't do it today? Guess what? The answer is going to be no. So, so it's not possible to talk to someone. No, but rather, what if you could just give me 5 minutes and I can show you? How does that sound to you? they're probably going to say that sounds good. You're right.
Okay,
So
you're putting a lot on the table, and I feel
I
like I
am.
need to unpack a few of these things for our guests out here. Shout out to Nicer again. Shout out to Land of the Lions, not Lando Lion. Land of the Lions, Abyssinia. Shout out to you. Says that I did sales for a year. I was a sales manager. I was good at it, but it was tiring. Definitely, yes, 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 yes. It is a tiring job. Selling 101 by Zig Ziglar, definitely a good book. It is the classic, right? Zig Ziglar, you gotta go through Zig Ziglar, right? And shout out to Murtala in the house, Murtala Murtala Muhammad. Salute to Ike. I'm glad to make the live stream. So let me unpack a little bit of what you said. One thing you said is, and again, to refresh the people, it's about how you overcome objections. Overcoming objections is the hump you need to go over in order to close the sale. And as I mentioned before, there are many sales you're making along the sales process. You may be selling the ability to get an appointment, let's say. Can I get 5 minutes of your time to see this particular person? Okay, you're selling, that is your selling, right? And then
Right.
there's going to be objections to that, right? And you overcome those objections, and then now you're in front of the person. Can I come back with my team to show? And there's objections. So there are many sales, many kinds of objections, but regardless, you want to ask questions. That's
That's
the
right.
important thing. You want to ask questions. That's number one. And then number two, you need to understand that the objections process are an excavation process. You mentioned it as a candle, and you are the heat melting the wax away, candle wax, right? So the objection that they give you, the first objection they give you, is not the real objection. Okay,
90% of the time.
it is not the real objection. Okay, so they say, and you always throw a question back at them. So, for example, I have some closing questions that I have. Okay, I say, okay, well, besides the fact that you've never used us before, is there any other reason why you would not use this product? And they'll go, well, you know, it's good in this way and it's good in that way, but we don't. I want to be able to make, monthly payments. I don't like this other contract. Maybe it's a contract versus this. Maybe it's a this versus
Right.
that. And I think we had this conversation before. I simply just overstep it. I don't even pay attention to what they said. It's not like I don't pay attention. I pay attention, but I step over it so I can see what is behind that wall. I say, okay, good. Besides the fact that you cannot get this on a monthly contract, is there any other reason why you would not want this product in your hand? Is there any other reason why you would not want to begin to see the benefits which we just discussed being implemented in your company tomorrow? Is there any other reason other than the fact that, and then they go back and start selling themselves? It is an emotional process. Okay, there is some real reason. Maybe it's because it's a hassle. Okay, people don't like change is the number one objection. But no one is going to sit there and tell you, I'm not going to buy because I don't like change. Right? So, what you're trying to do in the examples you gave, for example, when you said, hey, you can get this phone in your hands right now and walk away with it for 14 days. You can start to use the software right now, walk away with it for 2 months and do a side-by-side comparison. In other words, you minimize the change
That's right.
that they have to go through. You take down that barrier to entry. You minimize the amount of change that they would have to go through. Okay, that's what my questions are doing. I say, well, what is the thing? Well, besides this, I always use this. Is there any reason why you would use? I also ask the negative questions like, is there any reason why you would? Why would you not consider using X for your project, right? And now they're going to be like, why wouldn't I consider using you? It is super putting them on the spot, but
Right.
not in a way that is so negative, like, oh, why don't you buy my product? But it's like,
It's
hey,
almost empowering.
it's empowering. Like, tell
Right.
me
Right.
why you would not use my service. Tell me why you don't want to use my cleaning service. And then the person has to think like, you know what, really, you know what? Let's do
Let's
it.
do it.
You know what I mean? Let's just do it, because really there is no real reason other than the fact that I already got a this and a that and the other. So you want to reduce that barrier to entry. You want to make it easier for them. And so basically you say, ask questions.
Right.
Right, in order to finding my mouse over here, ask questions in order to get that barrier down, okay, and understand that whatever barrier that they're putting up is just like wax, and you can melt it away. There is something behind it, okay, that
That's
is
right.
not really what the front is,
That's
okay.
right.
And something about the question about I need to talk to someone else, I always ask, oh, fine. Oh, that's great. Oh, it's just, I need to talk to the CFO. Oh, Steve, the CFO? Oh, yeah. No, no. And if you don't know who Steve is, you need to ask, oh, and who is the CFO, by the way? Like, there's that Steve formula. Okay. So that you can then personalize and say, just out of curiosity, okay? Because I need to know, I need to be able to learn, and it's just my job, right? If Steve were here, what do you think he would think about this? You
Mm.
see? The kind
Hmm.
of thing like, I need to talk to my wife. You're knocking at the door, you're selling Cutco knives door to door, right? I need to
Right.
talk to my wife. So if your wife were here, what do you think she would say about this? This takes you closer. Not that you know what the answer to this question is going to be, but the point is you want them to move closer and closer towards their real objection.
That's
If
right.
they're putting up the wife objection, say, okay, well, if your wife were here, what would she say? And now you're forcing them to kind of be like, okay, well, I think she would like, maybe is she doesn't want me to buy stuff because I'm always buying stuff. And yeah, but then you can kind of say, hey, you know what? But when was the last time she, had an objection about you buying something? What that tends to do is you're going to see that the last time she had an objection about you buying something perhaps was because it had nothing to do with her and it was wasting money, so on and so forth. But then you can talk about how this is going to be a great thing and it's valuable and it lasts and it's for the family and she's going to be happy with it, so on and so forth, right? That
Right.
kind of a thing. So another thing I ask, and I'm going on and on about this, but questions are super important, is when was the last time that, and this is even before, because I ask these questions when I start to close, like when was the last time you guys decided to change your vendor for whatever it is, right? When was the last time you guys decided to change your enterprise software for customer relations, right? And then they have to go back to the
The
process
process.
that
Exactly. Exactly.
they have to go back to the process, and they start thinking, and they have to then start bringing down those walls and those emotions and bringing down the barrier to entry and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So ask questions. Okay. Have you seen enough to decide? Is another one that I ask. In other words, this is a question to get you to the close quicker. If you have a 1 hour presentation, let's say this is a presentation type of sale, every 15 minutes, ask them, have you guys seen enough to make a decision? Don't
That's
think you
right.
got to go through
Right.
feature A, feature B. Oh my God.
Save,
It's
save
crazy.
those.
It's crazy how people like feel like, oh, now I got to go through this slide and I got to go through this slide. It's like, we are mammals, okay? We are social beings. We don't work, we're not in the world of slides, okay? Like, that's not how it works. You need to be able to say, even after slide one, boom, like, so have you guys seen enough to make the decision, or some kind of a version of that question,
Right.
right? Have you seen enough to make a decision is the bare bones level of it. But basically, what would you guys need to see, or what is particularly important to you is what you're trying to find out. Don't worry if you haven't gone through feature A, B, C, D, E. Usually people only care about one feature, okay? People may just be buying a BMW because it makes them look good. They don't care about the surround sound
Right.
system.
Or the maintenance.
They don't care about your warranty program. All right. They just want to drive down whatever boulevard and look good in the BMW. So maybe that's it. So
Yep.
it is rare that anyone cares about all your features. It's usually one at best. And think about yourself as a buyer. So basically, we have already come to the hour, and I wanted to keep this one definitely down to 1 hour. Let me go ahead and check out the. Okay, essentially, you can't be a robot. You got to be creative, says Young Swift. Yes, you need to be able to think on your feet. And I mentioned, in case anyone is wondering, the domain within which sales consist. What does sales consist in? Okay, what is that domain? What is that landscape? It is the landscape of influence and persuasion. And as I mentioned, rising up to the top in any particular endeavor involves two things. One is becoming more strategic, right?
That's
When
right.
you're lower, you're more tactical. And then as you go up, you become more strategic. And one is more strategic, and then number two is more influential.
Influential. That's right.
Yes, the president is selling to the whole country and selling to other countries. The general is selling to his army and selling to the outside. the CEO is selling within and selling without, and he's definitely also more strategic. So whether you think, oh well, I'm not a salesperson, you are going to get into some kind of a sales position if you're trying to climb higher. It may not be called sales, but generally speaking, the people who climb higher quicker tend to come from the sales, right?
That's
And
right.
it is the kind of profession whereby it doesn't matter. I'm an engineer, for example. Okay, I'm an engineer. I do engineering up till today, up till tomorrow. Okay, I'm running Prometheus Engineering Plus. I do technical sales on the side, so on and so forth. But the selling is what has gotten me able to push my entrepreneurial thing, and also the skills are inevitable. I see it right in any kind of. It is not the technical know-how that is the super juice or whatever. They're pumping out engineers every day. Okay. When you add the ability to influence and the ability to think strategically, that's what we're talking about.
That's
Okay.
the special sauce.
That is the special sauce. And that is it, because it's about stacking talents, ladies and gentlemen. You can be the 0.0001% in one thing, and then you don't have to worry about it. You just do that one thing. You're Tiger Woods. You've been playing golf since you were 6 years old, and you're going to be at the top of that. But what percentage of people are that? Very few. Point is, you are at least 10% or 20% in a number of things. If you stack those things, you can go up, and you could possibly even be in a room with a Tiger Woods, right? But you didn't get there by being the 1% in one thing. You
That's
got there
right.
by being top 5% in a number of things. And influence and strategic thinking is a must in this particular regard. Okay. It's not like, let's say, Barack Obama. It's not like I'm sure he wasn't the top law professor or was never going to be like the top number one lawyer or the top number one orator, but he's at least 5% in most of these things. Maybe he's 1% in one of them, and so on and so forth. But it's about stacking all these things that then,
Right.
boom, you become the president of the United States, right? So, super important, ladies and gentlemen.
The creation of urgency it's vital to your selling process because emotions change, right?
Mhm,
Emotions change. Let's just you're trying to sell to someone a software, and maybe you've been giving your presentation. They're feeling good about it. All of a sudden, they get a call. The customer, the potential client gets a call from school. Your son's not feeling too well. Well, that
mm,
sale's gone, right? What
mm,
I mean by that sale's probably not going to happen
mm,
because the sun
mm,
kicks in, or my
mm,
grandma. Oh, I just got a call. So who's someone? I'm sure if you've ever been if you've sold anything, you've been in the middle of a sale. Someone gets a call. Oh my God, I have to go pick up my daughter, or my dog. I have to go pick up my dog. It could be
mhm,
anything, and especially if the customer is not, you know, maybe they haven't been 100% convinced yet, or they're ready to throw their objections at you and they haven't had an opportunity to do that, they'll find, my dog just coughed and I need to go. So the urgency should be there because um, you should be so good at what you do that 15 minutes into the sale, the customer should be ready. And it goes back to what Ike was saying that, do you have enough to make a decision? Asking that
mhm.
often, you have enough to make a decision. When I used to work in product sales in Verizon, taking them closer to the cash register, right? Because let's go
Interesting.
over that way, right? Yeah. So it's like we've been chatting for a while. Your head should be pointing to where you want to start signing the paperwork, because
Mhm,
at some point anything can happen.
mhm,
And there are times where you're selling a product, and let's just call it what it is. You know that this product is for this customer. You know
mm,
that maybe perhaps it's the last one. You know
mm,
that they're not going to get this deal anywhere else. So you have a responsibility and to some extent a duty to make sure the
mm,
customer does not leave without it, because
mm,
it will happen. They come back and it's gone. And then all of your sales are going to turn into almost bad news. Like, oh, now they're sold out. Great. Now I have to go somewhere else. And the customer is going to say it's your fault. Right. So
mhm,
it's important to look for those opportunities to close, and then look for opportunities where you know that this person is looking for a moment to bail out, but they want to buy it. Like I
mhm,
said, the wife, I had one customer. This is a funny story. I don't know if I told this in our last video. The lady wanted to get a big sale from me, but she couldn't speak English that well. And every time she would try, she would say, she would look up in the sky and look for the word in English and couldn't. And then she says, "Se habla español?" I went, "No, I'm not losing this sale today." So I literally called my ex-girlfriend. Okay. I said, "Hey, how you doing? How's your family? Hope you're doing well. Hey, look, I just need a favor. I'll tell you what to say, and I'm going to give you the phone. And as soon as I put the phone on there, you can see the customer went like, woo, and she's blasting all these Spanish out and going on and on. And I look at her body language and she says, "Oh, see." And I'm thinking, yes, that's a good sign. And she looks up in the sky, she goes, "See." And she's going on and on. And it turns out that when I got the phone back, she says, "Oh, she said that she noticed that she also sees the other services. She wants to get those as well." I'm thinking, jackpot. So in my mind, I'm thinking I better hurry up because there's another coworker that I have, and he's gonna come in there. He usually knows when I'm with a Spanish-speaking customer, and he'll come in there and start saying, and he starts talking Spanish to the customer, and the customer want to leave to him. So I was like, I'm closing this as fast as possible. So I say, "Tu firma, por favor." That means give me your signature over here, right? So that when he comes over, that other guy, sales guy comes in, there's, the sales already closed. So you have to think of how fast this, you want to be excited about getting the product, the service, the device into the customer's hands. Be excited about putting that future that you've been selling in their hands, because it's better in their hands, because when it's in their hands, money comes into your pocket. So don't let that money sit in their purse any longer than it needs to.
Yes. Yeah. So and this is key, and I'll just mention this. I don't have to necessarily ask, which is that you need to get over your hangups about money.
Right.
You need to get over your hangups about money. You need to become money motivated. In other words, when I say become money motivated, I mean break down the barriers and the lies that you tell yourself that you are not money motivated, and get in there, because money is a tool, and get over all those hangups about happiness, because money has nothing to do with happiness. Okay. It's like, it's this particular tool that we need in order to transact and exchange with other people. It has nothing to do with happiness. If you start saying, well, it doesn't make you happy, blah, 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 you have done a complete non sequitur. You have done something absolutely illogical. I was talking about digging the holes and selling you shovels. Now we need shovels. And all of a sudden you start talking about happiness. It has nothing to do with happiness. It's about digging holes. It's a tool. Right. You don't talk about happiness when you talk about pens and pencils, spoons and forks. It's a tool that you need. Get that tool. Get over your hangups about money. Be money motivated in order to get into this sales game. So this has been an excellent one, and I think that we've kind of stayed within the time. So ladies and gentlemen, let me start again, right from the top. Do you want to be inevitable like Thanos, right? You want to be indispensable, invaluable. You want to be able to go from city to city without worrying about having a skill that is transferable in any market, in any sector. What is that skill? You got to learn how to close. You got to learn how to influence people. You got to learn how to get the value out of the marketplace. Get the money out of the marketplace. Be a revenue center. Be a profit center, not just be a cost center. Regardless of what the organization is, non-governmental, non-profit, or for-profit, or maybe it is the government itself. Everyone needs to get value. You need to go to China and close the deal, or you need to go to the next business and sell your software. That's the whole point of the business. Everything else is just help. In other words, the salesperson, the person bringing in the value, is the person that goes out there and kills the mammoth or whatever. Everyone else is just helping bring in the mammoth, chop up the mammoth, distribute the mammoth through the different whatever, package the mammoth. But if the mammoth is not killed, nothing happens. And that's why this is a very invaluable skill. Whether you're a CEO, you're selling to the outside and to your internal organization. You're the president, you're selling to the nation and to other nations. So just a quick thing, and today we were talking about closing, okay? And if I just got to give a basic kind of summary of the conversation, right? I'd ask you about how closing works into that framework of bringing down barriers. And you mentioned that you got to bring down the barrier in yourself. You got to bring down the barrier in yourself, and you need to project the emotion of excitement, because selling is an emotional thing. And buying, I should say, is an emotional thing. It is not, hey, I will give you this argument and my best argument. Oh, now you have to buy. It's like, no one just buys. Oh, I give you a great argument. Now you got to buy. It's like, no, I ain't got to buy nothing, right? You make me buy when you push me in there with a feeling. You make me excited. You project a future to me, a future where this particular pen is already on my desk. That will look great on your desk. This will look great on you. You would look great in that car, that kind of a thing. And those are simplistic kind of things, but you get the idea. And then when it comes to closing, asking questions is super important.
Important.
Two things you mentioned there. You said that asking questions, and also that those objections are like wax, and you just need to be a flame next to the wax, melting it away. Because the real objection is never quite openly stated. The real objection is often something like, I don't like change. 90% of the time is because people don't like change. You don't like change. I don't like change. But I'm not just going to come out there and say it. I don't like change. So you want to get to the point where you're reducing the barriers and they don't see this thing as change as much. Okay. So ask those questions. Cut down and create that urgency. Okay. Don't go to the point where you're going on and on and on and on. Right? Create the urgency. Tell them about, and obviously you understood the sales process. You have increased the pain. In other words, you've kind of shown them the difficulty. And this was a conversation that we had in a previous
recording
conversation, right? Where you're talking about, imagine how it would be if you were to just be able to click this one button and this, that, and the other will happen. You're like, oh, so that's you're creating that future, painting the picture of the solution to the problem, because it's all about solving a problem. And once you've created that solution, you create the urgency for it. And then you ask the questions like, why would you not consider using this product? Besides the fact you've never used this before, why would you not consider it? When was the last time you changed the software? What was that process like? Okay. Is there anyone else that, is there any other reason? Or one that this is a ballsy one. Okay. And you could literally ask them, like, how much of what I've told you do you actually believe? That's like a nuclear weapon, right? That's like now don't try this at home unless you know what you're doing. You pull this one out when you've projected already a whole lot of confidence and so on and so forth. Shout out to Ramil Amir in the house. Ramil Amir, the big homie in the house. Make sure you guys already subscribe to Ramil Amir's channel. He's the big dog out here in this corner of YouTube. So, but if you have not, make sure you check out his channel. Always putting out good content every day. But the nuclear weapon is this. How much of what I've told you do you believe? Because you're trying to find out. Let me tell you the end point of this, besides the emotional shakeup, because you need to shake people up emotionally sometimes, right? But the end goal, the logical thing you're trying to do is you're trying to find out what is important to them and what is not. You've talked about features and benefits and this and that and this, and they say, well, how much of what I've told you actually believe? You're like, you know what? I don't know about this and that and the other, but the fact that this, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And now you know that. You're like, okay, cool. Well, when can we get this in your hands? My goal, and one thing that I like to say is, to the point of always be closing, right? I always like to state my objections up front in the beginning, in the sense that here is what I want to do. And I mentioned that there are many closes. There's the close of I want an interview. There's the close of I want to be able to talk to your CFO, right? And I say it up front. And I say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to sell you 50,000 pens for all your offices in Milwaukee, right? That's my objective. That is my goal. It's not your objective. It's not your job to buy. It's my job to sell. So
that's right.
Right. That's the beginning of the conversation. And then so that when I come back again and I say, this is my objective, it's not like, oh, where did that come from? I didn't know you were here to sell me. It's like, no, I told you right in the beginning. Always tell them in the beginning, ladies and gentlemen, here's what my objection is. In the first 20 seconds of any conversation or presentation, I always say what my objective. The way I do it is attention, intention, and big claim. That's how I kind of put it down. Attention could just be a hello, right? Or here I am standing in front of you, poised, shoulders back. In other words, something that gets their attention. Now they're paying attention to you, okay? And then you state your intention immediately, okay? I am here to make sure, or I'm here to demonstrate to you how we can save you 50% on all your installation costs, that kind of a thing, okay? That's intention and big claim altogether. You want to make it big, you want to make it bodacious, you want to make it emotional, you want to lift them up, so on and so forth. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I've been going on and on for a while. Any closing thoughts, Aitois, before we close this one out?
Just, I mean, I think everything has been said. Just keep your confidence and knowing that, your job is to create the excitement, and the success of your sale depends heavily on that ability to create the excitement. And it
Mhm,
doesn't have to be you don't have to be an introvert or an extrovert. You just have to know that I have to make this more exciting because it is always an emotional purchase. You will have the few. There are those days, and every salesman will tell you, someone's going to walk in and say, I'm here to buy this, right? They're not here for pitches. As a matter of fact, I had a sale once. The customer walked in. I'm here to buy this. Sold it to them. Are you doing today? Good. Oh, okay, cool. Just go ahead and sign here. Initial here. All right. Well, you know the drill, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Like if I'm buying something, my type. I walk into the store. I don't need a salesperson. I'm here to buy that TV. I just picked
mhm,
up a U-Haul, and where do I pay
mhm.
for it? And
Yeah.
salespeople don't like customers like me because they don't get to practice on me. But
it,
this job is to
it,
help salesmen, right?
this is yeah, this is generally true of people that are in sales too, is that salespeople are, there are two things going on. Because you're generally excited, and like someone that's excited, you can project excitement. Okay, so you're an easy close, but generally it's also because you know what you want,
Right.
right? So salespeople are the easiest. If you're easy to close on, you probably have some innate talent for selling, and you should look into it. And I will close out by saying this. Recall that we mentioned that there are many aspects of selling from the prospecting all the way through to the closing. And then in between, you have things such as keeping a relationship. And even after the closing, there's the post purchase behavior and asking for referrals and following up and so on and so forth. Everyone needs to get into that arena, and we're all going to participate in each aspect of this dance. But you need to understand that there is an aspect that you are particularly good at. So there are people out there who need to prospect and call 10 people in order to close three. But there's some people who only talk to four people and close three. Okay.
Right.
Now, generally speaking, what happens in a smart organization is you take that person that can is very good at prospecting, that can bring in like 10 prospects, you combine him with the closer type, and boom, 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 boom. Like me, I'm a closer type. I'm not a relationship type. I don't care what park your kids played golf or whatever softball this afternoon. I don't care about it. Okay. But there's some other people whom are genuinely interested in these people and so on and so forth. Right. But, and I'm not, I'm being stark here. I'm not saying I don't like people and all that, but you get the picture, right? And one out there listening, I love you guys. Okay. I love you. But basically, when it comes down to that, knowing all the ins and outs, the technicalities, so on and so forth, and being able to ask those tough questions, things that take practice, 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 and boom, 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 being strategic, break down those walls, close, sign, and I'm out. That's what I'm good at. And I would have never thought that I was good at that if I just went with, oh, I'm an introvert. I don't want to do that. But I'm an introvert means I don't want to know about their kids' soccer. But I'll close all day,
Anything.
every
Right.
day, because it's like doing it. It's like lifting weights. It's just you just go in there and you do it, and you put it down, and you
You're
move
done.
on.
No maintenance. No maintenance required.
Exactly. And the way I do because you mentioned also being competent, picking up that phone when they call, and so on and so forth. That is the way I do my relationship thing. That's the way people come back to me, right? It's not by asking about their softball game. Okay. That's other people's way. I do it by no matter what, no matter when, I'm responding to your text, I'm responding to your call, I'm sending you that information, I am answering your question, just a high level of competence,
That's right.
high level of competence. And that's how people come back to me. You have to play to your strengths. If I try to do that softball thing, it'll come off as false, and it'll be very draining to me. Okay. And it'll not really get me anywhere. My thing is super sharp, super competent, go in there, close the sale. If you can't close it, move on to the next. Stay sharp, stay solving their problems, so on and so forth. Okay.
in the den of iniquity. Vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment. What a pity. Tomorrow never certain. What dwells behind the curtain? The face of evil smirking with that shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble that either pop or topple. Many will fall and stumble. Let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso. Cannons could breach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. Hey, I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come fi get it. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come fi get it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these your circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners.